and I'm from the University of Iowa.
And what do you hope to take back from this conference?
Something that I'd like to bring back to the university is the idea of community ownership of the commons and how we manage them and try and instill those ideals into the United States.
And what does commons mean for you?
Commons for me means anywhere that we can get some good that doesn't belong to anyone. Obviously, that's kind of the definition, is that it doesn't belong to anyone, but we can all access it. And I think that a crucial element of commons is that we all have access, and I think that's what this is about, and I think that's what I'd like to really bring back to the United States.
And if you could just repeat the sentence, I believe in commons and communities.
I believe in commons and communities. Okay.
I'm Kevin Mugenya from Kenya. I work with the Institute for Law and Environmental Governance. And I'm attending this conference basically to take two things. Number one is to learn more about the commons, drawing from the expertise in this place, the organizations. But secondly is just to interact with people, drawing from the different definitions they have about commons and understandings. In Kenya, our understanding of commons, as we were told today, was there's a slight misuse of the word common pool of resources and common property of resources. So for me, it's just to learn more about what common pool of resources is and what common property right is. Basically, that to me would be a good starting point, and not to miss it is just to enjoy the cultural experience that is from India, in as much as we have Indians in Kenya, and to network with other organizations. Those to me are my expectations from this conference.
And you already asked again, what does commons mean for you?
I don't want to do that.
You want to okay. All right. And just if you can repeat the sentence, I believe in commons and communities.
I believe in common and communities.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, my name is Paula Novo and I'm from Spain.
And what are your expectations from this conference?
Well, from this conference, I hope to meet many people working on the same issue, but also learning from others, exchanging opinions, and also having the opportunity to be in a country as India with so many experiences on managing the commons.
And what does commons mean for you?
Well, from my country in Spain, we also have some experiences on the commons. We have common forest and common water managing as a common property resource. But I do my PhD in Nicaragua, where there are many public goods, but at the end they are treated as commons because of the issue of access and then equity also.
And if you could just repeat the sentence, I believe in commons and communities.
I believe in commons and communities.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Christopher Cook. I'm a journalist and author from San Francisco, California.
And what do you hope to take back from this conference?
I'm here covering the conference as a reporter, and I would love to come away with a greater understanding of some real alternatives to the current paradigm and the current dominance of large corporations over the common good, and find some understanding about ways that communities are really developing answers to really serious problems around the environment and economic problems that communities are facing across India and across the world.
And what does commons mean for you?
Commons to me means certainly common spaces, common products that come out of nature. Really also I think about commons in terms of economics and in terms of money and the wealth that comes out of nature, and the wealth that is produced, seeing that as part of the global commons, not just seeing trees and rivers and forests as commons, but also all the wealth that gets concentrated in usually very few hands seeing that as a total commons that should be redistributed in a more equitable fashion.
And if you could just repeat the sentence, I believe in commons and communities.
I believe in commons and communities.
Thanks.
Great. Okay.
Thank you so
I hope
much.
I wasn't too ideological there.
No, I think it's
For a
great. It's
journalist.
nice to have different kinds of
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm rolling.
Okay, so first if you can look there and just say your name and where you're from.
My name is Nani and I come from France.
And how has the conference been for you so far?
It has been a wonderful experience for the field trip, as we were just discussing yesterday, because we had the opportunity to go in the cooperative where the Bhutan land donation movement started in the 50s. And also it's my first time in ISC conference. My background is in the digital, creative, scientific commons, and so I'm really learning a lot about theoretical framework, use case, and fieldwork and methodology from the other commons, the real ones. So this is really useful, and I'm meeting a lot of very nice people, and it's very interesting. I just have one critic. There are too many sessions, so we are constantly missing super interesting things. So that would be my main regret.
Organizing any international conference, you have to fit a lot of stuff into so
Yeah, maybe
so
you
much
should
time.
keep us for 2 weeks.
So with your background of technical and scientific knowledge commons, so what does commons mean for you?
Commons means resources which can be shared, which should be shared, and for which governance means and best practices and access and sustainability has to be cared about collectively.
And we're also asking everybody if you could repeat the sentence, I believe in commons and communities.
I believe in commons and communities.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Melanie. Is the frame?
Can you go a little back, a step back?
So first, if you could just say your name and
Yeah, I'm Paul. I'm from Norway, from the Norwegian University of Life Sciences. I've worked with natural resource management issues for 15, 20 years. This is my third or fourth conference with the IIC. I think this one has been really interesting and dynamic. It's been a few years since I've participated, and it's great to be back and particularly what impresses me is that this conference must be one of the most sort of globally representative academic gatherings, I believe. And I think the debates have been really lively and given me a lot of inspiration to working with land grabbing or land appropriation issues, which today is one of the big threats to many commons around the world, and which I think also really deserves the attention of this organization, and which I'm happy to see that it got a lot of attention, and there are lots of challenges for us there, and for, of course, the people who are depending on those commons that are sometimes threatened due to these processes. So I'm very thankful to the organizers, to IISc, and everyone who supported this. Thanks.
And if you could just answer the question, what does commons mean for you?
For me, commons mean personally many things. It's accessing nature, it's being sure that we have forest and land and water, it's our shared natural resources, it's enjoyment and fun, and of course, perhaps most of all, as we know, 1 to 2 billion people in the world depend wholly or partly on the commons for their livelihood, and that is probably the issue that we need to always keep a very close attention on.
And if you could just repeat the sentence, look in the camera and repeat the sentence, I believe in commons and communities.
Yeah, I believe in commons, and I believe in communities and also other actors that are involved and derive benefits and affect the commons. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, my name is Craig Thorburn. I'm from Monash University in Australia.
And how how has the conference been for you?
The conference has actually it's been excellent. This is the 4th or 5th IASC conference that I've been to, and each of them has been excellent in its own special way. And one of the wonderful things about coming back every 2 years or so is to see how far so many of my colleagues have progressed and how far the debate has progressed. And that once again has taken place at this conference. It's been a wonderful experience.
And what does the commons mean for you?
What do the commons mean for me? Well, most of my work is in Indonesia, and lately I've been focusing on the forest commons, which Indonesia, of course, has some of the highest rates of deforestation, and this is closely tied with the undermining and the destruction of the commons in Indonesia. So I think that there's probably no place in the world where it's more important to be pushing this agenda, to salvage what remains of the commons, and to resurrect the commons, and to create some new commons, because that is, as far as I can see, that is the main pathway forward for improved forest management in one of the most important tropical forest countries of the world. So.
And if you could just repeat the sentence, I believe in commons and communities.
I believe in commons and community. Thank you.
My name is Bhadra. I'm from Sri Lanka, and I'm working in the irrigation department of Sri Lanka.
And how has the conference been for you? Have you enjoyed the conference?
I enjoyed very much. Actually, this subject is new to me. Even though I am working back in my country, looking after the commons and delivering the services from the commons to the people, this is the first time I participated the conference on commons, and I learned a lot. I had a chance to share a lot of views from all over the world, and I am happy that I got a lot of messages to bring back to my country and to use those messages during my day-to-day work.
And so after attending this conference, what does the commons mean for you?
It is that anything, beginning from air, water, and any physical thing that can be used as a common thing, not owned by private personals, owned by any individuals, that should be available to use by any person. So the amazing thing is even the internet and these sort of things come into this category. So I think this is a new way of thinking that should come into it. Yes.
And if you can just repeat the sentence, I believe in commons and communities.
I believe in commons and communities, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. First, your name and where you're from.
I'm Vanessa. I'm from Bangalore.
And how has the conference been for you?
The conference, I primarily came to the conference because we are working on urban issues in Bangalore, specifically looking at streets. One of the things we're thinking of is how can we use the idea of commons to reclaim the streets? And that's something that we're exploring. In fact, I'd written a paper on streets as urban commons, so just wanted to come and sort of discuss it with people here. Because as far as the urban areas are concerned, you're always in a dilemma whether you look at streets as public spaces, look at commons, what does the commons really mean? And even to me, what does the commons really mean? I mean, commons is very clear when you look at the rural areas, but the moment you put it in an urban area, it becomes very complicated. And that's one of the things I wanted to explore, and one of the reasons I came here. There were some good discussions on urban commons, but largely, as far as urban commons, I think there should have been more focus on the urban commons, especially because we have a large number of people coming to the cities, and we are sort of, the way cities are changing, it's becoming more difficult for people to live. And using the commons might be one way to reclaim cities for people, and not just for skyscrapers and cars and things like that. So I think we should be looking at more in commons, and hopefully in future IASCs will have more emphasis on urban commons.
Okay, so coming with that background of working with cities and urban areas, what does commons mean for you?
Like I said, commons sounds like something which can be mobilized to reclaim the streets. It holds a promise, but again, because of the complicated nature of cities and the concept of community in the city, you don't really know whether it works. But it does sound like something which has promise. which can sort of reclaim the cities and which can bring the community back into the city.
And if you can repeat the sentence, I believe in commons and communities. Unless there's an ideological problem with that.
Yeah, I have to think of, I believe in communities, yeah, commons, yeah, I believe in commons and communities.
Provided it's done the way he wants it.